It's car con carne. Let's eat in the car. It's car con carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Alstyne.
This right here is Car Con Carne. It's a Q101 podcast. I'm James Van Alstyne, and Car Con Carne is sponsored by Easy Automation. Safety and security are things that you and I want, need, and expect. What if you could always come home to a well-lighted house, knowing that you and everyone inside were safe? Or know that that package you were waiting on was delivered and secured? It's time. Embrace the future of smart living. Empower your home with intuitive control. Call my guy Dan. Dan can be found at 630-730-3728, or just go to his website, easy-automation.net, for a free, no-hassle quote and find out just how easy it is to turn your home into a smart home. This is episode 1004 of Car Con Carne, and Quiet Pterodactyl celebrates 5 years of nonprofit work providing music and arts experience and education for the Chicago community. In the backseat, I have founder and President Trey Elder joining us for this episode, returning to Car Con Carne, the first ever in-car appearance of Trey Elder. It's a milestone.
Hey.
Also joining us to my right, it doesn't matter if you're listening or watching, it's true, she is to my right, composer, clarinetist, singer, spiritual jazz soothsayer. That's a title. That's what you want on a business card. Just a few years ago, the Chicago Tribune named her the Chicagoan of the Year in Jazz. She is Angel Bat Dawid.
Hello, how are you? Hello.
And we are outside-ish, Jerry's Sandwiches, jerrysandwiches.com, 4739 North Lincoln. Cosmic Sandwiches since 2002. Special thanks to Mindy and Mark
Yep.
For their hospitality. We're going to eat their food and talk about the 5th anniversary party for Quiet Pterodactyl. I know there's warm food. We have a lot to talk about, everybody.
Right.
We should bust the food out before we
Yeah.
start talking.
Here's some waters for everybody.
Oh, look at that.
Thank you, Trey.
Angel, I want you to stay hydrated.
Of course.
I'm going to hand you some napkins also. We're going to start with some cheese curds.
Yes, we are.
Mukbang time. Let's go.
Oh, look at this.
Ooh.
It smells divine.
Delicious. I'm taking one. They smell
I'll take one
really
and pass it back. They
good.
smell so.
I'm gonna take
Who
it
doesn't love a
back.
cheese curd? We're in the Midwest.
Cheese curd time. Cheese curd time. You gotta have your
do you guys want
cheese curds on.
You gave us
Oh,
some.
I already did. Okay. I gotta stop. I need lots
Y'all,
of
they're good. Mm-hmm.
All right, instant rave review from Angel in the front seat.
I like the cheese curds. They're delicious, crunchy.
So this menu, again, at Jerry's, there's so much stuff. For starters, they've got the curds. Sometimes they serve it with tomato soup for dipping.
Yeah.
OMG. Corn dogs.
Seasonally.
Perfect
Chicken
for
poppers.
right now.
Roasted shishito peppers
Ooh.
on the menu. They've got specials all the time. As we're recording this, they have an alligator sausage po' boy. I mean, come on. And their sandwiches. Trey, you are well familiar with this place.
I am.
The sandwich menu is over the top.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit.
Yeah, I'm a super fan of Jerry's sandwiches. I also worked for them for a very long time. Full disclosure. Still like family.
Full disclosure, like this is some high-minded journalistic enterprise.
Yeah.
I didn't just call corporate. The cheese curds are awesome. I think Mark likes to say they have a bumsteadian lineup of a food, but it's definitely American based with, depending on the dish, other influences from Asia, from the Middle East, things like that.
Oh my God!
But basically, no matter what you eat, it's awesome, and then you put it between two pieces of bread, and it's even better.
There's a little bit of heat
Come
to
on.
that.
Yeah. The sauce is delicious.
So we thank them for giving us food today.
Oh, we thank you.
Food makes music conversation so much easier.
Oh, it does. It's fellowship.
And I worked for Jerry's. This location's in Lincoln Square, but I worked for Jerry's in Wicker Park for a very long time.
wow.
That location, I'm good. That location actually had
I'm gonna take some
a
more.
live music venue attached where we had music 7 nights a week, and it was
Jump
Mark
on.
and Mindy really let me just take the reins and honestly kind of just book what I liked. So we had, from indie
Is that
rock
where you
to
developed
jazz.
You have a very eclectic.
Yeah, I have eclectic interests. There's things that I personally prefer, but our style of music we booked really covered everything. From bluegrass to hip hop. We had some pretty big names, and like members of Wu-Tang played at Jerry's.
What?
Like Some of our jazz shows is mostly
It's
local
boom,
jazz musicians, but
motherfucker. I'm
if
sorry, I
someone's
shouldn't
playing at Ravinia, maybe I could get them for the little after party.
Yeah.
Jerry's like, so mostly local musicians, very eclectic, even comedy and other things. But we also were able to get some pretty top-notch talent, surprisingly, in there.
This is what I love about
as
Chicago.
well.
I
We had
do too.
Dreas from Black Sheep there one time. That's one of my
What?
personal favorite shows I ever booked. Yeah, I am going to get one of these cards because they are
Legend.
so good.
Yeah, the curds are
The
great.
batter is really delightful. It's kind of light.
Perfect, like crunchy
Uh-huh.
and flavorful. Oh, they're so good, y'all.
If you want to set these down, you can use
Come
the
on
dashboard
now.
as a TV table. All right, what else do you have in the bag of tricks there, Trey?
All right.
Yeah.
I don't
These
know
are
what order I'm
delicious.
pulling them out, but we definitely have the Harland S, which is their fried chicken, in my opinion. So they're
Uh-oh.
kind of top three. I had them
try
cut
that.
these into smaller
So
pieces.
all their sandwiches are named after people famous and maybe not famous?
That is correct. People that are famous or not famous, maybe local,
Right.
maybe fictitious, maybe a cartoon character like the Harlan. Anyway, so here's the Harlan. I had them cut it into quarters so you guys can split that.
Oh, you're
as
so
you
smart.
look at
You are
that.
so
will. Fries
smart.
in there. I did not ask for ketchup.
Let me get a shot of this really quick, Angel.
Oh, y'all, look.
I kind of just
There's
tore
a
it
shot
open.
of it.
Anyway, so I ordered three
Looks
things. We've got the
good.
Harlan S, which is their main fried chicken sandwich. It's one of my personal
It's a
faves.
sandwich.
I trust your
Okay,
judgment.
I'm about to go in.
We got the brisket, which is a special, not on the regular menu, but they do have it. I'd say, there is some ketchup in here if anyone wants some for their fries.
You
So
gotta
this
have-
is
they
the
have
wine-
eat
brisket
up in here.
relatively often.
On their specialist, this is probably what you got: the wine braised brisket,
Yes.
brisket braised in wine and herbs, pan gravy, Swiss fried onions, pickles, lettuce, and challah.
That's so good.
I put that in my notes because it sounded
here's
so
the
good.
brisket. That one I just had cut in half, so that's bigger portions.
Oh, it's a monster.
Oh, yeah.
And then the third one that we had. Also all the sandwiches come with two sides. I ordered fries with all of them, but I
Yeah.
ordered I think the beans, maybe some mac and cheese. I think there's forks.
Y'all, this
down here
smacks.
somewhere.
Okay.
This is
Oh, yeah,
smacking.
here's forks.
I don't know what to do with all this. Trey,
We got a
please
green
tell me you're eating. Are you just watching us eat? That would be
No,
horrible.
I'm
No,
gonna
I
eat.
took one
I'm busy
share.
talking right now.
Here, I'll take some fried chicken real quick.
Oh, then the third sandwich is the Greg L. Is technically in the vegetarian section of the menu. It's a fried green tomato sandwich.
Oh.
Very southern, absolutely delicious. But
I
by recommendation of Polly the bartender, I added bacon to it.
Okay.
You tainted it.
Yep.
Not for the
Tainted
kosher
it
in
with
mine.
wine.
Not for the kosher.
Oh, here's another fork if anyone wants. Because there's some baked beans here. There's some mac and cheese.
Oh my
Let me
lord.
try this brisket situation over
Oh, here,
here.
look. The wine braised brisket.
Wine braised, but fancy.
It's all you.
Ooh.
Oh, this fried
It's a
chicken's
different
divine.
type of bread. It looked like a...
Oh, wait, there's also
Pita or
sweet
something.
potatoes. That's a seasonal side. I think during the summer they have elotes, and then during the fall, winter they do
Man, you got to have eating the car
sweet
skills
potatoes.
over here. The eating the car skills.
Yeah. Oh, and
You got to...
1,000 plus episodes in, I've got this down. Oh, the fried chicken's delightful. Oh, and again, there's a little bit of heat there. It kind
I
of
like a
creeps
little
up on you. I like spice as long as it doesn't tear my head off. It's got to be flavorful. Oh, right on. Okay,
This
so
is really good.
now that we've appropriately added protein
Woo.
to the conversation, the Quiet Pterodactyl 5-year anniversary party with the Silent Auction Fundraiser happens on Sunday, November 24th, happening at Color Club, 4146 North Elston, 21 and over, 7 until 11. Angel Bat Dawid is your headliner. Also on the bill, Jobs, 40 Girls, DJ All the Way K, and the ever-popular More Surprises to be Added.
Yes. Excited.
That gives you license to under-deliver or
to do
over-deliver.
whatever the
Yeah.
fuck I want. Actually, I just secured today. My homie Larry Miller is going to be the host with the most. He's also an awesome DJ and MC and rapper.
Again, you have a very eclectic range of interest, taste, and friends to call on. And I love that. That represents the city.
I'm
So
excited to be
for
involved
those-
in this.
We're celebrating the 5th anniversary of Quiet Pterodactyl. The obvious question, Trey, and maybe for Angel as well, what is Quiet Pterodactyl?
So Quiet Pterodactyl is a local nonprofit. We focus on music and arts events and programming. The educational aspect that we originally started with hasn't really come to fold yet. That was a pandemic shift it was really hard to do things with schools, and I still would like to focus on that a little more going into the future.
Sure.
But yeah, the last 5 years, we started really being event focused. And I think the first time I did this podcast was we put out a record during the pandemic. You going to hold on to that? During the pandemic, obviously, we could not do events. So we put out a couple of records that raised money
Situation Chicago.
Yeah, Situation Chicago. They raised money for local independently owned venues, which is not something we ever had intended to do. And people have asked me, is Quiet Pterodactyl a record label? And my answer is always like, no, records are heavy. I'm getting too old. My back can't lug all these cases of records. But we did that. I'm really proud of that project. But that also led us to... and I've been around a long time, and I know a lot of the music venues in Chicago and the owners and booking agents and whatever. But that definitely... that project, I think, helped solidify some relationships. And now we book one-off shows around town. And really... kind of all, like any place that you probably love, like Hideout, Empty Bottle, Promontory, just kind of all over town. Shuba's.
Midsummerfest.
Yeah, Midsummerfest.
Which isn't a
it
venue,
also
but I mean...
led to... I've been an Andersonville resident for a long time, and the music... It's the oldest, still ongoing street festival in Chicago. And... no offense to them, I personally wasn't super stoked about some of their music programming. It was a little too cover band heavy for my preference, and we ran a Jerry's in Andersonville for years, and I low-key complained to the chamber for a few years. And after the pandemic, they're like, all right, you've been complaining, bro, like, let's see what you can do.
Right. Put up or shut up.
Yeah, I've been able to help them program and curate the music the last 3 years, and some of those cover bands are awesome. I'm not poo-pooing on what they do. But we've been able to bring some more original talent. Like last year, a couple of my personal favorites were Phenome, if you know those girls. Namdi Ogunaya, I'm a huge fan of his.
Yeah.
Tukiman, he lives here in Chicago, but he's from Senegal, Afrobeat pop artist.
I know Tuki.
You had Impulsive
Anyway,
Hearts.
just really bring some more eclectic
You had
and
Impulsive
original
Hearts too, right?
What's that?
Impulsive Hearts?
Oh yeah, we had Impulsive Hearts.
Love
yeah. Blood People.
Yeah.
And it really just ran and we had Cece Santana, she's Brazilian. Like, just Chicago really isn't a global city, it's an international city, and
Absolutely.
I wanted that to be represented at that festival as much. It's not the Trey show, but that was my vision of how to steer it, is not just have some of the same general Chicago street cover bands, which again, those guys are awesome.
There's a time and place. I get it.
Yeah.
But when you're in
balance that
Chicago...
with, like, really representing every style, but also like every neighborhood and every part of Chicago music scene, not just a couple of parts of Chicago music scene.
It's hard to wrap your arms around all of it. Yeah. There's so much going on, so many different genres. I've said, people ask me all the time, who's your favorite new local band? What do you see coming up? I never want to give an answer because I know it's not the right one.
Yeah.
There's always so much stuff going on. No one can claim to be an expert on all of it.
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, there's thousands, if not tens of thousands of bands in every genre, so no one can know all of them. And also, you and I are kind of we're all music industry. You say one band and someone, why didn't you say me? There's also that. Like, I have so many of my friends are musicians. Why didn't you mention us? You know, like, well, you know, you can only mention so many people.
So really, this is a not-for-profit that supports the arts community, which awesome. Thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you.
Definitely something worth celebrating. So you're doing this 5-year anniversary party. Color Club, I think, is a new location for a lot of people to think about. So talk about your choice to go there.
It is. One thing, Color Club just opened recently. It's not a traditional, I guess, bar venue like a Shuba's or a Hideout. It's more of a neighborhood community gathering place. And they've also done a lot of people of color and very queer-friendly programming since they've opened, which I felt like was important. I also like to do events. I like to do events in traditional spaces that people know what they're going to get, but I like to do events in either very, like, no one's ever been to this warehouse, you know, or no one's ever been to this thing, but also Color Club's new enough. They're super nice people, but also I know a lot of my personal friends haven't been to a show there yet, even though they've been doing shows. So it was like a new fun space to interact with.
I love that. That's good thinking. And if you're going to have someone like Angel, it should be somewhere eclectic, different, and cool.
Yeah. I mean, if your first show at Color Club is seeing Angel Bat Dawid, that's going to define the space for you. I mean, in the best way. I'm a friend, but a huge fan of hers. And she's just such a powerful performer, and like it's going to be really cool. Also, people ask me like, well, how do you decide what, who you work with and what music you program? And obviously there's reasons for different things or strategies, but a lot of it is like, I program the shit that I like, and I hope other people like it too.
Welcome to this podcast.
Yeah. And I'm a huge fan of Angel. We've worked a little bit together before, but it's been a while, and I was just really excited that she was on board to be a part of the 5-year anniversary.
And if you haven't heard Angel's music before, I listen to you, and the first thing I think is, this is an artist who never once compromised anything she created. This is a singular vision that you put out there. It's experimental, it's challenging, and it's just cool to listen to.
Thank you.
How did you... I mean, experimental jazz doesn't describe what it is. Mm-hmm. How did you come to create these sounds? Where did that interest and creative spark come from?
I started very early on. Like, I went to... In 1984, Amadeus came out. Y'all remember that movie, Amadeus?
Oh, yeah. Amadeus.
For whatever reason, so it was 1984. I must have been like 5 years old. My dad took us to go see it, and it was like the opening scene when I heard all them violins. It did something to me. And there's that scene in the movie where Mozart's on his deathbed writing the Requiem, almost like his own Requiem. And Salieri, his arch nemesis, but also his biggest fan, is sitting there notating what he's saying, and that sparked my interest in being a composer. Very young, and I love classical music going forth. And then as I studied clarinet, I started playing clarinet at 11, and I knew I wanted to be a multi-instrumentalist because there's that scene in Amadeus where Mozart's a little boy. So I'm a kid, and I'm seeing Mozart play the piano, and then the dad blindfold him, and he played the violin. That always like impressed me as a child, and I knew I wanted to be a multi-instrumentalist. So I
just based on seeing that movie.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
It lingered with me. I listen to the soundtrack still. It's it's like the best of Mozart, really. But that, of course, I went to school and went to band and was introduced to the clarinet. I didn't want to play the clarinet. I wanted to play the violin like Mozart. But there is no more violins at the orchestra. And so I went to the band room, and my teacher, he was a big black man with a jerry curl named Mr. Jarrett. He was amazing. He said, here's a clarinet, and I was really disappointed because I thought it looked goofy. And the only people I could hear who was playing it was like Benny Goodman, and no offense, but I was still trying to be cool. As a 12-year-old, I didn't want to play some corny white dude playing. So I was like, but then I found Mozart's Clarinet Concerto at the library, because whoever's listening, we had no YouTube back then. This is the 80s. You had to go to the library and get a cassette out. So I found the Mozart Clarinet Concerto, and I was like, wow. Because my whole thing as a child is I wanted to shred. Like, I wanted to be, like, me and my siblings wanted to shred on shit. Like, we didn't. So when I heard that, I just got obsessed. And then my music, went through music education, music school theory. So my journey is very technical, because I was classical for most of my life. Went to music school, majored in clarinet studies. And being a black woman in universities where it's mostly white, it was hard. There's a lot of just microaggressions. There's a lot of things that you go through as a black person that we don't talk about, because it happens continually, perpetually, all the time. Because black people, we culturally have nuances that people don't realize that we have in our culture, and they're constantly being stepped on. And being in a classical setting, it was very, by the time I was on it, I'm a college dropout, didn't think I was a good musician. And so I just went to the work sector. I started working and making money, good money, and but at the same time I was miserable because I'm an artist. I invested all this time and energy to make music, and I was going home every night because I do hip-hop production, and I was really getting into that, and it was becoming my life. I was just like coming home just so I could be in my home studio, and I was like, I got to make this jump to do this for real. So in 2014, I jumped off the cliff. I had a little 401k at this job I had. I jumped off the cliff and I said, look, I'm going to take a year. I'm going to take this money, pay my rent for a year, and see what it's like to be an artist full time. And you know what? It worked. It worked.
So glad
I love hearing that.
It worked. And that's when I came into the avant-garde jazz scene here in Chicago. It took all this time for me to go through them hoops to find the free jazz scene, the DIY scene here in Chicago, because I had time to do it.
Yeah.
I had time to go to all the jam sessions, and that's where a plethora of opportunities open for me. And I'm here because of the free jazz, avant-garde jazz. It was like the ingredients that I needed on my musicianship. I needed that extra improv, free experiment. I didn't know I was experimental. That's another thing. I thought the music that I was making, because I would play my music to people, and they'd be like, Angel, that's weird. I'm like, but it sounded cool to me. But I didn't
Chicago
realize...
is a strong, and always has had a strong free jazz scene.
For sure.
Yeah.
No, like New York's amazing, great musicians there,
Right.
but if you're not playing standards, you're probably not getting the gig.
Exactly.
Where Chicago, like the musicians want to push.
Yeah, they push the envelope here.
They push, and they've done it constantly. I've been here, 20 something years, but it's been strong forever. Like Chicago's a very experimental town when it comes to that.
It's experimental in general. I think Chicago, and I'm just going to put it on the map as the world center for improv. If you want to be a comedian, where do you have to go? You got to come here to Second City.
Yep.
If you want to be, you got to go. And you talk about anything experimental or improvisational, Chicago is the headquarters for that.
I love that. And I have so many musicians and artists who listen to or watch this podcast. Everything you described, like working the daily grind,
Oh my God.
and you couldn't wait to go home to do your creative shit.
Right.
I can't imagine that not connecting with everyone listening or watching. I'm the same way. This is my creative outlet.
Yeah.
Like, I can't wait to jump in here,
Right.
talk to cool people, strike up conversation, eat some food. Like, I get it.
That's what it's really about. It's not really about getting the fame and the fortune.
No.
That's cute. What you see what that does to people. That kills people.
It does.
It murders people. And the thing that they love, they're ready to give up. And I'm like, that's never going to happen to me. I love playing music, and I don't care if I'm on stages or if I'm in my little room, in my little closet. Because trust, I've actually recorded my first album, Oracle. That was all recorded on my cell phone, y'all. And the reason why I did that, and look, that got me signed the International Anthem. A record that I did on my cell phone. They approached me. I knew them as friends, and one of my friends, he was like, yo, Angel, he heard me around the city. He's like, you want to do an album on International Anthem? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, what you got? I was like, well, I got all these recordings that I have on my cell phone, because I just need to record something. He's like, well, let's hear them. I was nervous. They heard it, and they was like, cool, let's put it out. On a cassette. A week later, when it came out, NPR was calling me. I say that, and I'm glad I put that record out, because I want every musician or creative to start where you're at.
Yes.
Use what you have right now.
Yeah.
I just had my cell phone and a multi-track recorder, and I got signed, and it worked. So don't be like, I got to wait till I get the money or the bread to go to the studio. What do you have right now that you can use to create? And just do that for the sake of creation. Because you never know. A lot of them songs you hear on the Oracle were sitting on my phone for like a year. And I didn't show anyone.
I love that. And I tell people the same thing. As a podcaster, as a broadcaster, people think the art of podcasting is very daunting. You need all the right equipment. I'm like, if you have a phone, you can record a podcast. If you have a voice you want to share or an idea you want to share, do it.
Absolutely.
There is no impediment. Different mediums, but same idea. Like, don't let those perceived obstacles of cost and whatever get in the way. Like, you can be scrappy and do some cool stuff.
Some of the best stuff comes in that because it's authentic, and that's really, like, there's this thing as creatives where you want to share what you're doing with the world, and that's where a lot of people get afraid because it's so vulnerable. But when you think about sharing and you think about the artists that you really admire the most, they probably were very authentic in what they're sharing about themselves. They're not trying to be this or that. They're trying, at least the artists I love. The artists I love, I can feel their authenticity. I can feel their genuineness. I can feel that they're not trying to be like anyone else. Don't be like someone else.
That's right.
Be more like you, because you're the flavor. You're the ingredient, the special sauce. As you talk to me, Angel, how you do that. I'm just being me, and I'm not turning the switch off. Like, I'm going to be me. I'm going to say what I feel, and as a black woman, I have to always interject that. People are like, why are you always bringing it up? Because I'm uncomfortable 90% of the time in this white world. I'm seriously uncomfortable. And a lot of us don't say it because we're just used to being uncomfortable. So as I've been going on this journey, I've been realizing that when I talk about how I'm uncomfortable, like I did on my live album. That was the first time I ever went on stage and just was like, I'm uncomfortable here. And the response whenever I do this is never, Angel, we hate you afterwards. It's always like, either I didn't know or thank you for letting us know. It's like, because if we're uncomfortable together, I think we can actually get some true healing. But if we can't talk about it, how are we supposed to heal? And music is the best way to do it. I brought up comedy a little earlier. That also is a good way. These are all the ways that we can process what we go through living in this existence, especially now.
Yeah, I actually told James earlier that I've seen you perform in different settings, and I've seen you where everyone in the room was on board, and I've seen you at Lincoln Hall where like half the room was 1,000,000% on board, and half the room you could tell was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And like that message that you give that is so powerful is just as if not more important for the people that aren't sure, because they haven't heard it yet.
It's
and
true.
To me, it's a simple message that you should kind of just know. But I also know that people don't. So obviously you want people to be into what you're doing, but also when you make certain people uncomfortable, it's really powerful to see them thinking about it.
Uncomfortability is a part of the process of how we heal as human beings. If you're in an interpersonal relationship with somebody and you guys can't talk about issues in a civil manner, like what kind of relationship is that? How can you actually be real? And there's this thing when it comes to music and creativity where, like you said, I'm going to be as authentic as ever then, because this is my life. I've been loving music since I can never remember. And if I can't be myself there, where can I be myself?
And something should make you uncomfortable. Some conversation should make you uncomfortable. And some music should make you uncomfortable.
Right.
And that's where, to me, that's some of the most memorable music and the most memorable conversations is things that made me actually think, rather than just me saying the same stuff that I say every day, or people that I agree with all the time.
Right. Yeah.
Change of subject. Has everyone had enough food?
Oh, yeah. I'm great.
There's plenty more here. We can also take it home, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm debating whether or not I'm still hungry. I feel like I can rally. And maybe
Y'all, the food is really good. Please go to Jerry's. It's really, really good. I want to go again. I'm going to come in the daytime.
Next time we got to sit down.
Yes.
Have an adult beverage.
Yeah.
We'll stop over there and have an adult beverage after.
I love that.
There it is.
I love that idea.
Jerry's Sandwiches, 4739 North Lincoln. Delicious. Cosmic Sandwiches since 2002. Trey was there for that. Delicious food. Again, the 5-year anniversary party for Quiet Pterodactyl happening at Color Club on the northwest side. Is that Montrose? It's by...
You called me out. I've been there, and I don't remember the cross.
4146. I think that's
It's in Irving Park neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really easy to get to off the expressway, really easy to get to really from anywhere in Chicago. That is November 24th. To my right, Angel Bat Dawid is your headliner. Jobs D Girls DJ all the way K. What an awesome event. Keep doing what you're doing, Trey.
Yeah, Trey.
Thank you. I want to say, I know we're probably about to wrap up. I want to say two things real quick. One is based on what you and Angel were just saying about doing what you love and not worrying about having all the right equipment or having all, do where you're at. That was part of why I started Quiet Pterodactyl, is I saw so many amazing musicians that I not just respect as friends and musicians, but like they're truly like fucking amazing. Like their world... They're some of the best musicians in the world, and I saw their careers not just not taking off, because that's such a weird capitalist perspective, but like they're not always even happy. Like they don't know how to promote. They don't even know how to book their own gigs. They don't. And I was like, and I also grew up a trained musician, classically trained, but I gave up the dreams of being a rock star a long time ago for personal reasons. But I was like, what can I do as I'm getting older to like really get back to the community? And like I was like, oh, I've been in business a long time. Like I understand the musician side and I understand the business side. What can I do to just promote the people that I respect, promote the stuff that I like? Like how do I, just in the smallest way that I can, get the word out that these people exist, and it's not just Live Nation stuff at United Center. Like we are literally at an epicenter of the best musicians in the world. So hey, people, go out and see this. It's local. It's at your fingertips. It doesn't cost $500 a ticket.
Yes.
Like it's right here. It's a free show. We do free shows at Broken Shaker every month, which is one of the first shows that I booked Angel at Broken Shaker like 7 or 8 years ago.
That was a great show.
And we still do that
yeah.
every third
I
Thursday.
still
Broken
remember
Shaker.
it.
Go to
Love
Broken
it.
Shaker. Different trio every month. But, we do some free shows. We always try to keep the cost down on local shows. But it's really like, how do we serve the community and how do we get the word out that Chicago really is some of the best musicians in the world?
Agreed.
You do have one of the more difficult names to spell in all of nonprofits. I know how to spell Quiet Pterodactyl. I would tell people to go to your website, but I'm afraid they won't get there because of misspellings.
Well, there's Google. Look up pterodactyl. You know what dinosaurs are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, go to
Jurassic Park.
quietpterodactyl.org. Please come to the 5-year anniversary. It's going to be an awesome show with Jobs, with 2D Girls, DJ All the Way K. Obviously, Angel's going to be there. Again, some other surprises that I won't tell you about. But it's really going to be a fun time. But also, all the money at the door is going towards the musicians. We're going to have a silent auction. We have some amazing. Chirp is going to be there. Chirp Radio is a sponsor. They're gonna have
As we're recording this, I was just
giving
at
away
their,
some free swag.
I was just at their last record
Yeah,
fair.
Chicago
Yeah, I was there
Independent
too.
Radio.
I performed at that.
But we have some awesome sponsors, like restaurant gift certificates and there's all kinds of salon stuff and booze and
Chicago stuff.
yeah, Chicago style. So all the fundraising stuff from the Silent Auction will go back to Quiet Pterodactyl. And honestly, I'm not doing this for money, y'all. I don't make any money off of this, but any money that we get is literally just going pay for our insurance, pay for our website hosting, really the basics. I don't even have an office. This is run out of my apartment. So this is just to
I
help
get it.
cover the basic costs of making sure it continues to exist so that we can just keep giving back to the music and arts here in Chicago as much as we can.
I love it. Thank you both.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Looking forward to 5 more years. Looking forward to the 24th. Thank you.
James, thanks so much for having us.
So cool. Thank you.